Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Daryl Amy.
Hey there, it's Larry, and I'm thrilled to share something incredibly close to my heart. My latest book, Selling in a Post-Trust World, is now available. In today's landscape where trust is harder to come by than ever, I've poured my years of experience into these pages to guide you through connecting genuinely and building lasting relationships with your customers. This book is more than just strategies. It's about transforming the way you sell by being authentic, real, and trustworthy in every interaction. It's for those who believe that integrity and sales can go hand in hand, and for anyone looking to not just meet their quotas, but to truly make a difference in their customers' lives. If you're ready to elevate your sales game and navigate the complexities of selling in a world where skepticism is the norm, Selling in a Post-Trust World is your must-read guide. And here's the best part. Even though it won't hit the bookstores until this summer, you can get your hands on an advanced reader's copy right now. Just head over to sellinginapostrustworld.com or click the link in the show notes, and let's embark on this journey together towards more meaningful, trust-based selling.
Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Daryl Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
All kinds of things. Great seeing you. You know what? This is an amazing time for Selling from the Heart right now for a lot of reasons, Daryl, right?
Exciting. Yeah, it is so exciting. But I'd tell you the thing I'm the most excited about, other than our guest today, Dustin Dale, author of an incredible book, Learn to Lead by Serving. You're going to love this conversation. The other book I'm really excited about is Selling in a Post-Trust World. This is just the feedback that's coming in as these are starting to get distributed out there is so exciting. I love to see people holding up their pre-release authors edition on social because it's creating a buzz already. And Larry, I'm so excited because this book truly is a gift to the sales world.
You know, absolutely. For those that have been following us on this Selling from the Heart journey, it takes the foundation of Selling from the Heart, but we're layering in fact, I'm layering in how y'all build trust. And we know something right now, when trust is high, things move really fast. When trust is low, things come to a screeching halt. If your client relationships mean a lot to you, and I know they do, this book's going to unpack how to build trust.
Well, the good news is you can get an advanced reader's copy of Selling in a Post-Trust World. It releases in bookstores later in the summer, but right now we have a limited number of advanced reader's copies. And if you'd like one and you'd like it autographed by none other than Larry Levine, just go to the website, sellinginapostrustworld.com. The link's in the show notes, and you can grab an advanced reader's copy. It's a full book, paperback, ready to roll, ready to read, ready to enjoy, and ready to put to work to help you grow trust. Sellinginapostrustworld.com. This is exciting. And I'll tell you what else I'm excited about, Larry. I'm excited about our guest today.
Oh, I can't wait to get Dustin in here. Let's go.
Yeah, we've got an incredible opportunity today to share time with Dustin Dale. He's a former senior corporate leader whose life took a dramatic turn in 2021 with a life-threatening autoimmune disease diagnosis. After a very harrowing experience in the ER and undergoing extensive treatments, Dustin's journey of recovery inspired him to write his first book, Learn to Lead by Serving. He followed it up by a successful sequel, The Daily Second Chance, a God-granted gift. Transitioning from corporate to becoming a renowned motivational speaker, Dustin has now touched the lives of over 9 million people with his powerful message of transformation and leadership through service. Join us as Dustin shares his inspiring story and insights on leading a purposeful life and embracing every day in sales as a second chance. Dustin, welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast. It's awesome to have you here.
What is going on, gentlemen? It is such a pleasure and honor to be in the company and grace of you two. So I want to thank you for your shadows.
Oh, you're welcome. I've been looking forward to this, Dustin. So we're going to have a great time, everyone, with Dustin Dale.
Well, Dustin, as we get started, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers, and that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
Selling from the heart to me is the true connection point between solution and authenticity. And when we meet there, that's where we find trust. And I think that's what our world is searching for desperately post-COVID in these times.
Oh, this is so good. So we have to peel this back even more because you're speaking our language here. Mm-hmm. So walk us through what that intersection looks like. By the way, we're going to have a phenomenal conversation, but just walk us through what's that intersection look like between that solution and that authenticity.
Absolutely. I mean, when we look at life and we look at business, and especially in sales, we tend to go to the person who we feel is the most authentic with us, whether they're a snake oil salesman or not. Typically, some of us can't see through that, but we try to find the person who's the most authentic. And authentic is almost the most radical now because we live in such a populated world with social media and reels and filters and all this stuff. So when we find somebody who's truly authentic, grounded in themselves, we almost don't believe it. And then what we're trying to find on the other side is what solution does that individual have for that I'm looking for, or companies who provide those solutions to their customers. And through my lens of leadership, that is a true servant leader, is that connection point between being authentic in who they are and being able to provide valuable solutions or influence those solutions. And that ultimately equals trust. We trust those two connection points when we see somebody adhere to them.
Spot on. And this aligns so well with selling in a post-trust world where, in that book, we unpack the trust formula, and we believe that the two components of trust are exactly what you're talking about here. It's authentic relationship plus meaningful value, those two sides of the trust coin. And so, yes, we've got to be able to approach people in authenticity, and we've got to be able to deliver value. And you get both of those right, and great things happen.
Yeah, especially companies who can nail it. I mean, most consumers have more knowledge than the individual selling to them or the company they're going after. I mean, you think about YouTube, it's now the largest search platform over Google. I think last I heard by a couple million clicks. More people are going to YouTube to do research. So when you think we live in a world where the audience knows more than the speaker, how do you connect to that? Well, that's where authenticity comes in and providing the value that I can provide. Not trying to provide all the value, but my value that'll contribute.
Wow, that's so good.
It is. And I think, a part of bringing your authentic self to the forefront is you got to get to know yourself, and you have to connect to yourself like none other. And I know, Dustin, you got a phenomenal story, and you've had to kind of reconnect to yourself just due to some of the circumstances over the last couple of years. Walk us through this journey in how this has played a really big part in not only your two books, but how you lead with a servant's heart.
Yeah, I tell you, my time as a W-2 was phenomenal. And I truly thank God for it. I'm very blessed for it because I couldn't do what I do now if it wasn't for that. But I will tell you, there was a lot of eye-opening things or situations now that I look back. And really, I've come to understand the difference between programming and then authenticity again in leadership. And so for the majority of my corporate career, I was programmed to say yes. I was programmed to give answers, provide solutions. I was programmed to kind of be that corporate robot, so to speak, the more that I climbed up and the larger the expectations became. But I'll say that's not always a good thing, because as we know, leadership is about the ability to influence, not give answers, not provide every solution, have a team that can think for themselves. So when I got sick in 2021 and I was laying in a hospital bed and I was thinking like, well, if I happen to get out of here, what is it that I can do, or what is it that I will do? And that's where I had my aha moment, or my Godsmack moment, if you want to call it that. I was like, the more I think about it, I feel like the world might feel similar to me in trying to understand, number one, what is it meant to be a human? And number two, what is it meant to lead as a human if you're in a leadership position? And so as I got out of the hospital, the more time I sat down journaling, figuring out what I didn't know, I quickly closed up the gaps on helping others. And so it was a self-discovery that I really believe in, that if you're going to help others, you will absolutely help yourself in the process. And that's what servant leadership is all about. There's a reason we look to John Gordon and Maxwell and the Zig Ziglars and the Jim Rohns and all of these guys who have kind of paved the way to Les Brown. And if you really listen to their story, they all tell you, I was just trying to figure myself out. And in turn, I help somebody else along the way. And so that's servant leadership. So that's what got me interested in starting a couple free communities. And I run one now through the school platform. And it's literally just a rewiring of your mind and getting to know yourself and facing those demons that we don't want to face. We have to face them in order to be the best version of ourselves.
So powerful. And I know in Selling from the Heart, the book, it really begins with how your authentic self sells you. And I think this is true of leaders. It's true of salespeople. And of course, on the podcast, we always say, and we believe that leadership and sales are actually very similar. Leadership is influence, John Maxwell 101. Sales, we're trying to influence decisions. So there's a big parallel. But if you think about this journey of authenticity, it does begin with self-discovery. And so I'm curious if you were, someone's listening in and they're going, okay, self-discovery. Come on, guys. I just want to sell more. I just want to, crush my quota and all of that. Why, and our leaders as well. I just want to be a sales leader. Why self-discovery? Why is this so critical to this journey? And why is it something we just can't bypass?
Yeah, I'm so excited. I love that question because especially with selling and you think about authenticity and getting to know yourself. I'll give you a specific example. When I was working with a sales leader one time, I'm sorry, that's my toddler waking up.
All right. Hey, that's good.
Happy. Talk about selling. That's the real life we live in now.
That's right.
So when I was working with this sales leader, he was trying to crush his quotas, as you were talking about, and be the lead salesperson. But what we figured out and what happened was that they really struggled with communication and conflict resolution, or quote unquote overcoming objections as a sales leader. So what we had to do was self-discover why this was. And what happened is it turns out when they were in college, they took debate class to try to become a better speaker, to try to overcome objections because they knew they were going to face that in the selling world. They got crushed in college. They lost almost every debate. They lost confidence to be effective. And what happens is they got into the career that they were in the real world. They never went back to shore up that gap. They almost let it become a crutch, become a hindrance. So when we started looking at their numbers and I'm working with them, I'm like, hey, you have the knowledge. That's not the piece that's missing. You know what you're doing. You believe in what you're selling and what you're going after. But when you speak, it's almost like a different person's in front of that customer than when you and I are talking. What's the difference? Why are there two yous? And so I try to help sales leaders understand you can't have two yous. If you don't believe in it naturally, then you can't believe in it professionally. I've seen it and done it too long in the corporate world of that disconnect. So I think that's a big piece. Some people will shy away from that personal development because it's uncomfortable and they don't want to face those gaps. But I will tell you, the quicker you can shore up those gaps, the faster you're going to be successful in selling and really whatever venture you're doing.
Oh, Daryl, you know what, Dustin, this is good stuff. Amazing stuff. And I encourage everyone, just pause on what Dustin had just said for a moment, because I really believe this. And I'll just throw it out there as only I know how to throw it out there, is we all have something in the closet from the past that's preventing us from becoming even better. I'll hold my hand up. I've dealt with it, but it's always something in the past. What you just shared in that story is so applicable to multiply that times the millions that are out there. It's usually we can trace it back to something that happened early on in our careers that we never got resolution from. And that every time we're in that position, we go back to that youth. We go back to that situation that caused us to get where we're at right now. So powerful.
Yeah. big part of psychology. Truthfully, I wanted to fix myself. We shared off camera. Larry, I told you, I think that's why people like psychology who are similar to me, is really we were trying to fix ourselves in the process. And I'm a big Alex Hormozi fan. Been following his work for a while, and he's amazing because he's a young gun like myself. He's only 33, but he has such a new age mindset on self-development that it's almost like hard to believe because it is so authentic, and I love his mindset. The longer a problem stays a problem, the more debt you pay on it. And so it's the same thing with personal development. The longer you avoid something about yourself, the longer it stays a hindrance. And then you just completely crush yourself in the process.
Powerful. I love this. And this is, for all of our friends listening in, this is the type of work. I'm glad Larry only has one thing in his closet. I think I've got many things but this is a journey.
Hey, Daryl, I could lay on the couch and you and Dustin could give me therapy because I can find more than one thing.
You can't afford me and Dustin. This is such important work for those who want to lead well and those who want to sell well, to be able to go back and do some of this hard work. And here's good news. It happens over time. It's not something that gets, cleared out right away. But being attentive to that and being focused on it is so powerful. You've given the world a gift, Dustin. Learn to lead by serving. Thanks for putting that book together. It so aligns with the philosophy of selling from the heart. But I got to say this right off, or ask you this question right off the bat about this book. I mean, it seems like the definition of leadership that we've adopted in the business world is you learn to lead to avoid serving, that you're in charge and that someone else is serving you because you got an organizational chart underneath you. This is a pretty countercultural perspective on leadership. Learn to lead by serving. Tell us about the book and the heart behind it.
Yeah, I'm going to solve everyone's leadership problems with this next sentence. Okay, so everybody who's listening, this is like $10 million free of advice.
Get your pen out. Here we go, folks. You heard it right here.
The only reason we have titles in organizations is because they make more decisions. That's it. That's all it is. So when I thought about leadership, I'm like, why do we really have to have the need for titles and hierarchy? And really what I could only find and boil down to, it's that they typically make a little more decisions than others, or they have to make more decisions than others. So when you think about leadership, and the reason why I love servant leadership is I'm fully aware that there has to be a hierarchy vertically and horizontally in order to effectively manage the size, right? So then you get into situational leadership and situational awareness. But no matter where you're at, vertically or horizontally, the mindset should never change in terms of how people get taken care of. And so it really cracks me up when I work with some of these C-suite executives, not to air dirty laundry, but it's the reality. When I work with some of these executives and I ask them, what's your coffee pot look like in the office? And they stare at me. I'm like, because if you go by and you don't clean the coffee pot, or you go around and you're like, hey, who's going to clean the coffee pot today? Well, then that's the culture that I expect your team to show and display. But it wouldn't hurt every once in a while to jump in and clean the coffee pot. And so I've had a lot of pushback over the years about servant leadership since sharing this message. And people are like, well, Dustin, we have people that we pay to clean the coffee pot. You're right, you do. But what does it hurt to just take 5 minutes one day and do it for them? What could that free them up to do elsewhere? Right? So servant leadership is not about doing the job of your teams, but it is about jumping in every once in a while and freeing up just a moment of time for a connection point or simply helping them out. So I think there's this big misconception, and that's what really inspired me to write the book, is that servant leadership is not coddled leadership. I get that a lot in my trainings. They're like, well, does that mean we have to, say yes? It's like, no, actually it doesn't. Serving somebody means saying no when it's easy to say yes, because it's going to hurt their development. And so I try to put together these 7 lessons in this book, in the second book too, with Learn to Lead by Serving too, to help leaders understand that what we've been fundamentally taught is somewhat true, but a lot of it's wrong. There's a difference between management and leadership. And so I try to help those who read the book decipher the difference between the two.
Oh, I love this. So if you don't mind, in the time we have remaining, can you unpack, if you will, the 7 things, the 7 pillars, the 7 items, call it whatever it is, Dustin, the 7 things, and apply that to our listeners who might be going, you know what, I get this, but help me understand it a little bit more. Put some Windex put some Windex on that window and clean it all up for us. How's that?
Yes, I love that. So I'll start with probably my favorite one is talking about your leadership shadow. So change out the word leadership, whatever you want, your salesman shadow, your delegation shadow, whatever it is. And basically, it's a perimeter that it's invisible that is set by your reputation, right? So what happens in leadership is I'll talk with leaders and they're like, well, I'm a great leader. Okay, well, tell me why you're a great leader, because a great leader doesn't say that. So the reputation is that they think they're a great leader, but really I just have to look around and see what's going on. So when it comes to selling, I love when people tell me, Dustin, I'm a great salesman. Well, if you were a great salesman, you wouldn't have to sell me on you being a great salesman. Like, let's start with principle number 1. So what is your shadow doing? And that shadow is everything you input into your life, the material you watch, the type of self-talk that you have, the confidence issues, the ability to continue to learn. So that's one of the principles there. The other principle is about who you surround yourself with, right? Your circle, your success is what I call the chapter. And it's heavily predicated on that you should always be the mid or top of the average that you're in. And when you get to the top, it's time to get to a new average. So outgrowing your friends, right? It's an age-old concept. But the problem is so many of us don't do it because we're afraid we're going to hurt people's feelings. So that takes me to another part of the book where I talk about the ability to have transparent conversations. The worst thing we can do as salesmen and as leaders is lie, right? And when I say lie, I don't mean lie as in intentionally say, oh, that hat looks great on you. No, it doesn't. But it's not having factual conversations that help both the person that you're working with and you. And so many of us shy away from conflict, or shy away from tough conversations. And again, the longer a problem stays a problem, the more it hurts when it's time to be paid, right? It's much more painful. So getting to those roots quick, cutting them up, getting them out, whatever you have to do to be successful. So again, I think you could take these lessons and just swap them out to, okay, so what's my shadow as a salesman? Do I actually have the reputation I think I have? If I'm hanging around with the bottom 5 salesmen in the company, that means I'm probably number 6. So what echelon do I need to move on to? Like, is this group helping or is it hurting? And then what tough conversations are I'm not having? Maybe I let things go a little too far when I'm giving a sales presentation because I'm too afraid to address the truth or speak to the truth, and then that kills credibility in the long term.
So many things to think about here. And I think this comes back to just a level of self-awareness in all of this, in our leadership and our sales approach and all of this. I love this, learn to lead by serving. And I'm really looking forward to our audience getting their hands on these books, Serving 1 and 2 on that. When you think about serving I love that clean the coffee pot analogy for a leader. And by the way, for our sales professionals listening in, it wouldn't hurt for us to clean the coffee pot every so often, especially in the department that's fulfilling all the orders you're bringing in. Might be a nice thing to do. But I wonder, let's brainstorm together. How can we take this clean the coffee pot idea and apply it to our customers? And I want to hear from both Dustin and Larry on this, because I know both of you are going to have some really interesting insight. As sales professionals, how can we take this servant leadership, clean the coffee pot mindset and bring it out to our customers, Dustin?
I would say there's the cliff note, because I don't want to take up all the time. I'd say the quick right to it answer is the reputation of branding trust, or brand trust, so to speak. So, most people know that they're going to buy something, that they have to eventually, but it doesn't mean that the salesman has to sell to them, if that's making sense. So building that servant trust with your customer is going in and just getting to know them. Number one, relationship equity. I don't think we talk enough about relationship equity in this world. And too many try to treat it as transactional authority, like, okay, I know you need this, I'm going to get you on this, but how far am I going to get you on it? The companies and leaders that I personally work with that do well, they never even actually have to ask for the sale at all, because they build the trust, they build the reputation, and they have that standing behind them. So you can make that cleaning your coffee pot scenario work.
I love it. So, hey, Daryl may have set me up on this if I know Daryl as well as I do, but a big part of the coffee pot analogy here, Dustin, at Selling from the Heart, we call it an inspirational experience. I think it's one thing. I think everyone in my heart can provide an experience, but is it inspirational? That's a different story. But I'll go as far as I met Daryl decades ago in the Office Technology Channel, but my Clean the Coffee Pot story, which ties in exactly to what you're speaking about, is I was in the office technology field forever and a day. I didn't have to do this, but I made it a point every month with a bottle of Windex and some rags, and I cleaned copy machines and I put paper in copy machines. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to do it, but that was my clean the coffee pot moment. Is I just knew that if I did this, it would get noticed. And I did it because I love to see the facial expressions and the people that I met and the comments and the conversations. I didn't have to do it, but I did it because I wanted to do it. And I think everybody has, and I'm so glad you brought this up. Everybody, I encourage everyone, just listen in on this. Y'all have a coffee pot moment, whether it's in your office, at your home, or in a client's office. What are you willing to do to clean the coffee pot? However y'all want to define that. Good stuff, Dustin Dale.
Absolutely, guys. I appreciate it.
You get a little too close to home with cleaning the coffee pot at home, Larry. Now we're stepping on toes, but this is actually really, really good all the way around. And there's a level of a servant's heart, of some humility inside all of this, wherever you are in your organization, to be able to lead by serving. So tell us about this book, Lead by Serving, and how can folks get their hands on these books?
Absolutely. Super simple, right? The best salesman provides the easiest solution. So you just go to Amazon, type in Dustin Dale, or Learn to Lead by Serving. You'll see them pop up. And you also see Daily Second Chance, which is more of a spiritual read. And that one will absolutely wreck your psychology, because I share some very vulnerable moments in my life of making really bad decisions and looking back and seeing the gap to how they affect me today as a grown man. So really good book for self-discovery, and all of them available on Amazon. Super easy, ships quick if you have Prime. I think 2 days or less. So
that's right. Oh, absolutely.
I love this. And so I really appreciate you sharing your heart with us and your passion behind all of this. I do know this before Daryl wraps up our time together, and I'm super grateful for you hanging out with us, is I do know this: servant-hearted people start their mornings by serving themselves first. Walk us through what Dustin Dale's morning looks like so he can go out with that servant's heart and help other people.
Yes, I'm going to say this respectfully and humbly. My 5 to 8 a.m. is savage. And I dare a lot of people to go up against my 5 to 8. And the reason I say that confidently, number one, is I'm waking up and I'm thinking, God, I got air in my lungs, and my mind is programmed and it's sharp. I get up, it's physical activity. So I'm either working out for, at least 30 minutes, prayer reflection time. So after every workout, I get on my knees and I just say, thank you, God, for the day I have before me, to remind me of how insignificant life can be, right? We get so wrapped up in, I got to do this and do that. So my 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. is very, very sharp, and it's very strong for a specific reason. So by the time everybody else wakes up at 8 a.m., I'm already locked in, ready to go, thankful for the day. And so it's kind of everybody else has to catch up. I never want to be the person that's got to catch up. David Goggins.
Oh, that's so good.
I love it. Dustin, thank you so much for sharing your heart with us today. You're a true inspiration, and what you've put together is a real gift to the world. So I just want to say we're cheering you on, and we appreciate you investing in us today.
Thank you both for having me. It really was a true pleasure.
Awesome. Incredible conversation. Learn to lead by serving. Dustin Dale brought so many great things into this. And I mean, there's so much to unpack from this. I know this is going to be an episode we're talking about in the Insiders group for some time to come.
Yeah, absolutely. So here's what I want us to think about. I still got to go back to the coffee pot moment. That's going to be, hey, Dustin, I'm throwing a highlighter on this one, the coffee pot moment. But here's where I'm going with this. And I want everybody to just to hear me out on this is y'all are in a business that's highly relational, and you're in a people-oriented business. In order to build relationships, you have to learn how to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I'm going to ask you all to think about is, how would you define what your coffee pot moment is? How can you transfer that out in working with your clients so that they go, man, I want some more of this. And they keep coming back for more and more and more. That's the inspirational experience that we talk about in selling in a post-trust world.
I think that's powerful. And I think taking that humble attitude to the office, to your clients, and at your home, to all of this, we have opportunities to put ourselves in that mindset and heart set of serving. And this is where things really, really get good. And I think in sales, our sales professionals in particular, our high performance sales professionals, we can all use daily regular doses of humility. It's actually going to be really good for us. So much to do there. Hey, I want to encourage everyone to go back, and we're always championing self-reflection at Selling from the Heart, because it's as we do the work, the inner work, and as Dustin was saying, kind of pay down some of the debt, the things we're paying interest on every day because we haven't resolved them. It's worth doing the inner work. So we're cheering you on. Go grab a copy of, I was going to say a cup of Learn to Lead by Serving. I have the coffee pot thing going on.
Go brew some coffee after this.
That's right. Go clean the coffee pot, get a cup of coffee, order Learn to Lead by Serving 1 and 2, and Dustin's book, The Daily Second Chance, a God-granted gift. And don't forget, Selling in a Post-Trust World is here. Advanced reader copies are available at sellinginapostttrustworld.com. We'll put all of those links in the show notes to make it easy for you.
Yeah. And when you do get it, snap a picture, hold it in front of you, snap a picture, give us some love.
That's right.
We appreciate you. We're grateful to our community.
Yeah. Thank you to everybody who is liking and commenting on the podcast and reviewing it. This helps us spread the word of this movement of authenticity right here in the sales profession. We've got incredible guests coming up throughout the rest of the spring and summer. So make sure to like or subscribe. Thanks for sharing this podcast with fellow sales professionals in your office and maybe even your clients. We really appreciate that when you do that. So till next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, learn to lead and sell by serving, and most of all,
sell from the heart.